All right, so please keep those introductions coming. We're going to get started. Uh, Keep this relatively timely and short and to the point. Very quickly, my name is Joe DeManuel Hall. I work for an organization called Labor Notes that's been helping to support UAWD, the caucus within the UAW, for several years now. I'm just helping to facilitate this call. Everybody else who you're going to be hearing from are auto workers and plus a special guest. Right now, I'm going to hand it over to Mike Cannon to talk a little bit about who we are and why we're here.
You're muted, Mike.
All right, my name is Mike Cannon. I'm a retired international representative with the UAW, and I'm also a member of the UAWD, Unite All Workers for Democracy Steering Committee. Let me give you just a little background on UAWD and its history and how it was formed. UAWD was formed as a rank and file organization to fight for a democratic union back in actually November of 2019, when a group of UAW members started talking about the corruption that they were so appalled with. We were formalized as an organization in September 2020 after the president of the UAW was indicted for corruption. We have held meetings with the monitor, UAW monitor, in trying to help him formulate a plan so that we can have an election on the referendum that was required under the consent decree by the federal government. We are the only organization that came out in favor of passing one member, one vote and giving UAW members the right to vote for the top offices of the IEB, International Executive Board. We fielded in 2022 a number of candidates, all of whom were elected to the International Executive Board, the UAW, and they occupy those positions today. We continue to fight to improve democracy and to fight for a union that is going to actually fight for its members once and for all. So we're glad to have you here today as part of this contract campaign and practice picketing session, so that we can continue to strive to improve the livelihoods of all UAW members and retirees. I would like to introduce the speakers that we're going to have today. They are Joe Hall, who is from Labor Notes, Dane Roll, who is a Teamster member from Teamsters Local 135, and Kimberly Foucault, who is a member of UAW Local 897. So with that, I will turn it back over to Joe, and we'll get started with the practice picketing session for today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. And thank you, everybody, for being here. It's great to spend a Sunday afternoon talking about some really important things in the labor movement. So before handing it off to the couple of speakers that Mike mentioned, I wanted to just very quickly talk about the concept of practice picketing, why it matters, and some basic do's and don'ts that UAWD has put together that I think are really useful in thinking about how to bring this back to where you work, why it matters. So first off, this is a tactic that can be really useful in any contract fight anywhere, but kind of unsurprisingly, we're mostly here to talk about the expiration of the Big Three contract, right? We're counting down the days. We're now at, where are we at? A little bit less, 18 days, 9 hours, and 56 minutes, right? Until the contract expiration. Not that anybody's counting. And so that's what we're here to talk about, trying to think about the importance of practice pickets in the Big Three contract. So why practice pickets? A strong union contract is not just won at the bargaining table, but is won by active members showing management that they're unified and that they're willing to take action. Now, you can do that by going on strike, right? But you can do that by doing a lot of things before that help to prepare you to go on strike and help show management that you're serious beforehand. Right now, members are fired up and are paying attention to what's going on in the union and the fight that's going on with the employers. So why wait to get them involved until September 14th, the minute the contract expires and it's time to go on strike, right? So a practice picket is a great way to do that. I want to talk again really quickly about what a practice picket is and what it isn't. So a couple of things that a practice picket is. Practice picket is a demonstration of unity. It's a show of force, people acting together so that management knows that you all will act together later. It's giving the company a taste of what to come. They know what it means when a bunch of workers are outside of the plant walking around with picket signs, and you are implying the strike when you're talking about just practicing the practice pickets. It's also an opportunity to flex some muscles that you might need to use in September. Outside of GM, many workers of the big three may never have been on a picket line at work. This is a good opportunity to get people practicing, to get people chanting together, to get people thinking about picket captains, to get people thinking about where it's important to picket. Again, these are important muscles to flex when the time comes, if the time comes, right, to go out on strike. Something that a practice picket is not. Practice picket is not a work stoppage. A practice picket is an informational picket. You're not trying to stop anybody from entering work. You're not trying to stop anybody from performing work. You are just practicing, right? And that alone, for now, is important to be able to spook management and build a unity among your coworkers. So I want to share a couple of do's and don'ts around practice picketing, and then I will share a link here to a useful page on the UAWD website around practice picketing. So very quickly, some things, do's and don'ts of practice picketing. Do's, plan it for a time in a day when many people can participate. If the point is a show of force, you want to think about how you can make it easy for as many people as possible to be there. Do, be on time for your shift. Remember, this is not a work stoppage. This is not a job action. You want everything to be above board, and this is happening during non-work time. Do, explain to your coworkers why you're practice picketing and why it matters. You want them to be involved, but sometimes you got to do more than just say, hey, we're doing this, come on down. You have to explain to them how it's related to the fight comes up in September. Also, be positive. This is something that can be a lot of fun. You want people to want to be there. You want this to be exciting and empowering, and being positive is an important way to do that. Quickly, a couple of don'ts. Do not call it a strike or a picket line. Remember, this is not a work stoppage. This is happening outside of work hours. Everybody's either coming out of work or going to work before or after this is happening. You're not calling it a picket line because you're not, for example, asking delivery drivers to stop making deliveries to the facility where you're practice picketing, right? So you don't want to stop work or cause others to stop working. That can come later. Another don't is to get into heated exchanges with people who disagree with you. This isn't the time or place to get into debates with coworkers you have long beef with, somebody who doesn't think that this matters. Focus on the people, focus on the positive and the people who want to join you and make this thing big, right? Don't focus on the couple of people who might disagree with you. These are pulled from and added to a great flyer that UAWD put together. This is a part of that flyer, which I hope somebody can put a link in the chat to, because I don't have it handy right now. I'm going to keep moving on. There's a lot of great resources on the UAWD website about how to pull off a practice picket, including some of the details that we might not get into here. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to hear from a couple of people who have done it themselves. Tell us how they pulled it off, what mattered, how it worked. So first, as Mike mentioned, we're going to hear from Dane Roll, who's a member of Teamsters Local 135 in Bloomington, Indiana. He's a package car driver at UPS and pulled off one of these practice pickets in the lead up to the expiration of the Teamsters contract at UPS, which expired earlier this summer, which you may have read a lot about in the news. So, Dane, please take it away. Tell us about the practice that you did. Thanks for being.
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday for this call. I'll try to keep it short and sweet and get straight to the point of how we pulled off a practice picket at our facility. Starting from the top, I guess the question was asked, could we pull it off? Could we make a practice picket happen at our building? And to be honest with you, I was a little hesitant at first. In Bloomington, we've never really had a lot of engagement, but it's something we've strived to do to get better at here recently. So yeah, I mean, I was hesitant that we could pull it off, but I thought, why the heck not? Let's give it a shot. So the first thing that we needed to do was figure out a date and time that worked best for everybody. You want to pick a day that you're going to have a lot of employees there, if not all employees, to just get everybody involved. So part of that decision for me, I didn't want to do it on a Monday. A lot of people have the case of the Mondays and they're not particularly thrilled about being there on Monday. So it's hard to get engagement on a Monday. I also didn't want to do Friday because same thing, people are kind of already eyeballing the weekend. You may get some people just ready to get to work because they're ready to get to home for the weekend. So what worked for us was a Thursday. Once we found out that we were going to do it on Thursday, there was time to build the momentum and plan and strategize. And to do that, the Friday before the week of the practice picket, I wanted to take advantage of what I kind of call chatterboxes. And I'm sure your guys' work buildings are similar to mine, where you've got certain people that like to talk or spread drama and gossip. Use that to your advantage, right? The Friday before the practice picket, let those guys know, hey, we may be having a practice picket coming to our building, get ready. And these people will organically spread that information for you. Like I said, these people spread gossip, drama, so they're going to spread this, they're going to spread this stuff for you organically. And that worked wonders at our building. Also, obviously, social media is another tool you should use. For me, I teased out the Friday, like I said, the Friday before the week of the picket. I kind of teased out some pictures that led people to believe that, a practice picket would be coming to our building. So yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to build that momentum to the day, which we discussed was a Thursday. Let's kind of build up the momentum and slowly kind of inform people that this will be going. Let's see. So we talked about picking a perfect day for your practice picket. We talk about taking advantage of chatterboxes and social media. For me, what was important was having a group there early. I wanted to find a way to get a smaller group there before the official start time of the practice picket. That was very successful for me because if I could have a group there, the people that are less involved, less engaged, would be more inclined to join you if they already see a group there. One way to do that for me is, let's just put it this way. I wanted to be a little creative to get that group there. So in my building, I've got about a dozen or so people that I call dependables, right? These are people that if I ask something, 9 times out of 10, they're going to come through for me. So I reached out to those people and I said, hey, is there any way, you could show up a little early? But I wanted to involve them a little more than that. I didn't want to just ask them to show up early and be a group. So what we did, and this is where being creative can come in handy for you. You can choose to do it a different way, but for what we did, we planned to, me and my dozen or so dependables, we gathered in a parking lot off property and we kind of talked there. We discussed some things. And then the plan was to have a caravan or like a parade where we'd all get in our vehicles and we'd drive to work. one by one. We'd go into work and we'd all play Tom Petty Won't Back Down. You know, we weren't disrespectful or anything, but we just we had a parade to work, and then we circled our building playing Tom Petty Won't Back Down, and then we just gathered our group at the location of the practice picket. And the reason I liked that is because it felt like I wasn't using them to just have a group there. It felt like they were a part of it. By being part of the caravan, they were a part of the whole planning process, which was great. And they really felt like they were a part of it. So that worked perfectly. Like I said, getting the group there early really helps some of those late comers, the people that show up to work late, the ones that just can't be bothered. If they see a group there, like I said, they will be more inclined to join you, and that's important. And another way you can do that is, get coffee, donuts, things like that. You know, that stuff will always drive more people to join you at the table. So you've got your group there, you've got the other people joining you. Now it's about time to execute, like to actually do the practice picket. Luckily for my situation, I hope many of you will find yourself in the same, is that I had our local president, our local secretary treasurer, and my business agent union officers showed up, and they distributed materials, signs, megaphones, whistles. We had whistles, which was fun too. And you know, Joe, at the beginning, he was mentioning about some of the do's and don'ts, and that's important to know what the do's and don'ts are. And for us, we played it safe. We took our practice picket off of company property. First off, it should always be off of company, but we played it even safer. We went across the road onto a sidewalk, which actually had a lot more visibility. And from there, we just demonstrated our practice picket. You know, we did like a long circle, and we were doing chants, whistles, all kinds of stuff. And it was a great time. You know, a lot of cars that were driving by. It's a very busy road. A lot of cars that were driving by were honking, fists out the window, just all kinds of stuff, hooting and hollering. It was a good time. And I think that's important. That's a big part of it, is showing you and your coworkers that what you guys are going through, what you could be going through, it's a big deal. But it's also like having fun is a big part of it. And I think that is one thing that really sat with people, the few days thereafter. One of my younger coworkers, he came up to me the day after, and he goes, that was a pretty good turnout, Dane. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was surprised too. He goes, I have never been a part of something like that, really in my life like that, but definitely not here at work. And he felt like for the first time he was a part of something. He felt like he was really part of the union. As a Teamster, we always would hear about the union. A lot of the times you wouldn't really see the union. So I think having that demonstration of the practice picket really helped him see being in a union. So yeah, to close it out here, what worked for me is separating it into 4 sections, right? You plan and strategize it, find the day that works best for you and your coworkers. Then you want to build momentum, then you want to execute, and then have fun. Another thing I forgot to mention though, when the conversations came up with my coworkers about practice picketing, I kind of came off a little assertive with them. I wasn't passive aggressive. And what I mean by that, instead of asking, hey, can you please come to the practice picket on Thursday? Can you please make it? It was more so, hey, so and so, looking forward to seeing you Thursday at our practice picket. Be assertive, like kind of, let them know that it's important for them to be there. They need to really be there and to visualize what a practice picket is, in case it were to come to that point. So I think that about covers it. Thank you for your guys' time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dane. And if I may, I have a quick photo that I'm going to share from your all's practice picket, because I think it gives a cool sense of what you all were talking about, what you were able to pull off here. And there's also, I'll share in the chat here, there was a great article that Dane worked on how he pulled it off, which, Dane, I'm not sure if you know this actually, but Sean Fain, the president of the UAW, shared out with UAW members the article that you put together, talking about how to pull off a practice picket. So great. Thank you so much, Dane. And thank you for sharing that story. I'm now going to hand it off, keep it rolling, to Kim Fiuco, who is UAW Local 897 production worker and alternate committee person at Ford's Buffalo stamping plant, to talk about the very recent practice picket that you all pulled off there. Kim, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dane. That was a lot of great information. We're planning on hopefully doing a couple more practice pickets so that we can hit all the different shifts that we have, so everybody can be a part of it. And that was a lot of great information for me to take back to the members and to my education committee, so we can, make each one better than the one before. So for us, how we made it happen. Somebody from our education committee reached out to UAWD, and we got on a Zoom call with Becca, and she was really great on helping us to come up with our own ideas on how we want to move forward with this practice picket, and then also guiding us on different things that we could do. So some things that we did to get the word out were we put out some flyers, and our practice picket followed our strike vote. It was the following day. So people were already a little ramped up, everybody was out to vote on Wednesday, and then we did the practice picket on Thursday. So I thought that was a really great way to keep people engaged. And we had flyers all over the plant for the strike vote, so everybody had seen them. And then we went and right by those flyers, we put the flyers for the practice picket, so it wouldn't be missed. We also have a union digital board at both entrances of our plant, so we were able to put it up on there so everybody could see that it was happening. Obviously spread the word, like Dane said. You have people who like to tell everybody everything, and it went through the plant really well. And I agree with him about the asking and the saying, I want to see you there. I hope to see you there. I think that makes a big difference when you're talking to people. We ended up having a really good turnout. We did it right after our shift at work. So some of the people from the education department were over at, okay, let me go back for a second. We did it at our union hall. Our union hall is directly across a main highway from our plant. So we had a few of the education department committee people over there getting everything ready. We made up a paper flyer of all the do's and don'ts and some frequently asked questions for us to hand out to people when they got there. And we got everybody together and we went over that whole sheet with everybody. And then we also talked about all the do's and don'ts and why practice pickets are so important. And then we decided that we were going to do an actual walkout, what would happen when we were told to walk out. So everybody got together, they told everybody we're going on strike, walk out. Everybody walked out of the building. It was a very, very busy road there. And everybody started picketing, practice picketing with their signs. We did a lot of chants. We were lucky to have our regional director there to support us, and our local president, vice president, our committee people, our bargaining people, and we had the news there also. So we were on the local news doing it. So that was a lot of exposure. And We also did the social media to get people aware of what was going on, and it went very well. Like I said, we had a really great turnout, and a lot of I think that practice picket is not only about going out there and holding the signs and chanting, which is very, that really shows our power and our unity, but it's also a good chance for people to ask questions and to it also can alleviate some of their fears around the possible strike and having to do the pickets. And it is a great show of solidarity. I was so excited to see everybody excited about walking around and doing the chants. A couple of things that we also did were we gave people time to ask questions, and if we didn't have the answers to the questions, we left paper out for them to write them down so that we can get back to them with them. It's very important to make sure you're giving the correct information out. If you don't know the answer to something, don't give an answer. Tell them that you will get back to them. You will find out what they need to know. And another thing that we did was we had a sign up sheet there for people to voluntarily sign up and put down what some skills that they would have in case of a strike, and so that if it came to where some of our brothers or sisters needed help during the strike period, we could reach out to them and they could help their brothers and sisters with different needs that they have. So we got some people signed up for that, and it really was a great practice picket, especially for our first one. And now we're going to get back on a Zoom call with UAWD and plan our next one. I believe this next one we're going to do at the actual, like outside the property of the plant this time. So really looking forward to it.
That's great. Thank you so much, Kim. Some really important lessons in there, and I think really important for you all to see that this is something that is doable, right? And how it connects to the fight that is coming up in September. So a couple of points that I just want to make really quick. Again, this is something that is achievable, right? It can be difficult. There are internal complications in some locals more than others, but it's something that can be done and can be pulled off in the weeks before the contracts expire, right? And it will help build for potential strike. Things that, in Dane's situation, they didn't end up going on the strike. They were able to show enough power that the company took them seriously. But in this situation right now, you want to show the companies that you're willing to go to the line and beyond, right? And the stuff that Kim was talking about, this gets people ready to do it. You're not just showing the companies that you're serious, but it gets your coworkers flexing those muscles that they maybe never flexed before. Remember, think about this situation that Dane was talking about. Coworker comes up and says, I've never done anything like that before, right? That's extremely empowering, but also as much as possible, you want people to experience that before the day that they have to walk out for the first time, right? And to get those muscles flexed. So Becca here with UAWD is going to share some resources, some links in the chat from the international and elsewhere around putting together practice pickets. And UAWD staff are going to be reaching out to everybody who came to this call to follow up with people, see how they want to work on putting something together in their local. Like Kim mentioned, it was a big part of bringing together a crew of people from 897, meeting with UAWD staff, planning this. And this is something that you can do where you're at too. And I also want to hand it quickly back to Mike to talk for a second about UAWD. Mike?
Yes, thanks. I just want to make a pitch today to everybody on the call, any UAW members and retirees. to consider joining UAWD. This is a very important movement. We've already had a number of accomplishments over the years, but our work is not done. Providing progressive unionism to our members is a never-ending job, and we need more people. So we'd like for you to be a part of this exciting movement. We have an annual membership meeting scheduled for September the 10th. If you join, you'll be able to attend that meeting and express your views about contract negotiations and other issues of your concern. And we also are looking forward to hearing any ideas you have to help make our organization better. So please go to uawd.org/join and sign up and be a UAWD member and help us in this fight for progressive unionism. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Dane and Kim, so much for being on here and talking about the great organizing that you've been doing. Everybody else who's here, this is something that you can take back to your workplaces, and all the work that you do now in the next couple of weeks before contract expiration will leave you in a better position to have that fight when the contract expires. Solidarity, keep up the good work. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.